The Index Card: Why Personal Finance Doesn't Have to Be Complicated, by Helaine Olen and Harold Pollack. Picture a guy named Sam. A few years back, his dad died and left him some money. Not a fortune, but enough to matter. Sam was one of the good ones. Loving husband, devoted father, showed up to work every day. But he was drowning. Between his grief and just trying to keep up with life, he did what felt safe. Dumped the whole inheritance into a basic savings account at his neighborhood bank. And there it stayed. Every few months, some guy from the bank calling himself a wealth officer would reach out, dangling the promise of free coffee and pastries. Sam would show up, and this advisor would chat about kids and work, acting all friendly. Then he'd speed talk through a bunch of jargon, expected rates of return, risk tolerance, stock market opportunities. It all felt sketchy, like a sales pitch disguised as advice, so Sam would politely decline. He'd reach out to friends instead. One swore by bonds. Another mentioned these things called index funds. A third actually offered to handle it himself, though he got real cagey when Sam asked about his cut. Then came the nightmare stories. Buddies who got crushed in the dot-com crash. Sweet old folks who got conned out of everything by guys in nice suits. Everyone had the answer, and every answer contradicted the others. It was overwhelming. Sam got so afraid of screwing up that he froze completely. He just did nothing. His inheritance slowly got eaten alive by inflation, while the stock market went on one of its greatest tears in history. Sam watched from the sidelines, paralyzed by a system designed to make money feel impossibly complicated. This is exactly the problem that the Index Card tackles head-on. Written by Helaine Olen and Harold Pollack, it's built around one radical idea. Everything you actually need to know about managing money fits on a single index card. That's it. And this isn't some theory cooked up in an ivory tower. Harold Pollack, one of the authors, is a university professor who admits he was terrible with money for most of his life. He bought hyped-up tech stocks that tanked, overpaid for a car because he didn't know better, and let expensive debts pile up. Then life threw him a curveball. After a family tragedy, he and his wife became caregivers for his brother-in-law, who has severe intellectual disabilities. Their income dropped. Their expenses exploded. They were living a life they never planned for, and Harold knew he had to figure out their finances fast. Through a lot of trial and error, he distilled everything down to a handful of stupidly simple rules. When he scribbled them on his daughter's index card and posted a photo online, it exploded. Hundreds of thousands of people around the world saw it and thought, finally, someone's making sense. Today I'm walking you through those rules. My promise? By the end of this, you'll have a complete, no-stress financial plan. We're cutting through the nonsense and giving you the freedom to stop obsessing over money and start actually living your life. Let's dive in. Financial peace doesn't start with complex spreadsheets or gambling on hot stocks. It starts with one basic habit. Rule number 1. The foundation for everything else. Strive to save 10 to 20% of your income. I know what you're thinking. 10 to 20%? Are you kidding me? For a lot of people, that feels impossible. The authors get it, and they're quick to point out, this isn't entirely on you. For decades, most people's wages have barely moved, while the cost of the big stuff, housing, healthcare, college, has gone through the roof. Meanwhile, we're swimming in a culture that screams at us to spend more. Your neighbor gets a new SUV. Your friend posts vacation pics from Bali, and a little voice whispers, "Why not me?" Economists actually have a name for this: trickle-down consumption. The more the wealthy spend on luxury stuff, the more everyone else feels pressured to keep pace. This creates a perfect storm. You're getting squeezed from both sides, and it puts your brain into what the authors call tunneling. When you're constantly stressed about making rent, the car payment, or that random school fee your kid just brought home, you can only think about right now. Long-term planning becomes impossible. You slip up, maybe forget a credit card payment, which triggers more fees and more stress. It's a vicious cycle. The only way out is learning to save. It's the muscle that powers everything else. But how do you even start when money's tight? Step 1. Figure out where your money's actually going. For 3 months, track every single penny. That coffee, those snacks, the random online purchase, everything. Use an app like Mint or just a notebook. Don't judge yourself. Just collect data. After 3 months, you'll see your financial life in crystal clear detail. You'll know what's essential, what's nice to have, and what's just waste. Once you know your spending patterns, you can build a realistic plan. And here's the key. This isn't about some brutal budget that makes you miserable. Starvation budgets work about as well as starvation diets. They fail spectacularly. Instead, think of it as a flexible roadmap. You need room for fun. Go to movies, grab dinner with friends. The point is making conscious choices. Maybe you skip the daily latte so you can save for that trip to Italy. You're not depriving yourself. You're choosing a bigger yes over a smaller one. The secret to making savings stick? Automation. Set up an automatic transfer from checking to savings the day your paycheck hits. This is paying yourself first. The money disappears before you can miss it. If 10% feels brutal, start with 1%. Seriously. After a month, bump it to 2. Saving is like a muscle. It gets stronger with use. But what are you saving for first? Priority number 1, build an emergency fund. 3 months of essential expenses, rent, food, utilities, sitting in an easy access savings account. This fund is your financial bedrock. It's what turns a crisis, busted car, lost job, from a catastrophe into a manageable headache. Now here's where people get stuck. When you start saving, you face a dilemma: build the emergency fund or attack credit card debt. The answer leads us to Rule 2. Pay your credit card balance in full every month. If you're already carrying credit card debt, paying it off is hands down the best investment you can make. Think about it. The average credit card charges around 15% interest, and store cards can hit over 20%. When you pay down that debt, you're essentially earning a guaranteed, tax-free return of 15 or 20%. No investment on earth can reliably match that. The credit card industry is designed to keep you trapped. They don't profit from people who pay in full every month. They actually call those people deadbeats. They make their fortune off interest and fees from people carrying balances. That minimum payment on your statement, it's not helpful advice. It's bait, designed to keep you paying interest forever. So how do you escape? You need a strategy. First, list every debt, credit cards, car loans, everything, and write down each interest rate. Then, throw all your extra money at the debt with the highest rate, while making minimum payments on everything else. This is the, quote, avalanche method. Once that highest rate debt dies, you roll all that payment power into attacking the next one. It's the fastest, cheapest way out. Some people prefer the snowball method, paying off the smallest debt first for a psychological win. The authors say that's fine if you need the motivation, but no, it'll cost you more in interest overall. While you're crushing debt, try ditching the cards completely. Switch to cash or debit. Studies show we spend up to 20% more when using plastic versus actual bills. Swiping doesn't feel like spending real money. Handing over actual cash hurts a little, which makes you more thoughtful about purchases. Once you've got a small emergency cushion and a debt destruction plan in motion, you're ready to build real wealth. Enter Rule 3. Max out your 401k and other tax-advantaged savings accounts. This is where compound interest becomes magical. When you're young, time is your superpower. Start saving just $104 a month at 25. Assume a modest 6% return, and you could have over $200,000 by 65. Wait until 45 to start? You'd need to save over $430 a month to hit that same target. That's the power of starting early. A 401k, or 403b, is a retirement plan through your employer. Money goes in before taxes are calculated, which lowers your taxable income immediately. That money then grows tax-free until retirement. But here's the absolute key. Many employers offer a match. If you contribute, say, 5% of your salary, they'll throw in another 5% for free. This is free money. It's an instant 100% return. Not grabbing your full employer match is literally turning down a raise. It's the single biggest financial mistake you can make. At minimum, contribute enough to get the full match, even if you're still paying off debt. If your employer doesn't offer a 401k, or you want to save even more, open an individual retirement account IRA. There are two main types: traditional tax deduction now, and Roth no deduction now but tax-free withdrawals later. For most young people, the Roth is better because you're probably in a lower tax bracket now than you will be in retirement. These accounts are for retirement. They're not piggy banks for vacations or new cars. The government slaps a 10% penalty plus taxes if you withdraw before 59.5. This is to stop you from robbing your future self. So now money's flowing into retirement accounts. The big question, what do you invest in? This is where most people panic. The financial world seems impossibly complex, full of shouting about hot stocks. Which brings us to one of the most important rules on the card. Rule 4 is simple and absolute. Never buy or sell individual stocks. Let me say it again. Never buy individual stocks. Why? Because stock picking is a sucker's game. The professional on the other side of that trade, the Wall Street analyst, knows way more than you. We all think we're the next Warren Buffett, that will spot the next Apple. But the research is brutal. Most individual investors who try picking stocks end up losing to the market. We buy high when everyone's excited and sell low when we panic. It's human nature. The authors tell this gut-punch story about Kodak. For most of the 20th century, Kodak dominated. It seemed bulletproof. Employees in Rochester, New York, loaded their retirement accounts with Kodak stock. Then digital photography arrived. The invincible company went bankrupt. Life savings evaporated. You might think you'd have seen it coming, that you'd have sold in time. Everyone thinks that. Reality? For every person who gets lucky with one stock, thousands get crushed on companies that seemed just as promising. So if individual stocks are out, what's in? The answer is Rule 5. Buy inexpensive, well-diversified index funds and exchange-traded funds. This is the secret Wall Street doesn't want you knowing. An index fund is basically a basket holding all the stocks in a market index, like the S&P 500, the 500 biggest U.S. companies. Instead of trying to beat the market, it just tries to be the market. It doesn't pick winners. It buys a tiny slice of everything. Here's the beautiful part. By doing nothing fancy, index funds consistently beat most highly paid professional money managers who are actively trying to pick winners. Why? Two reasons. First, as we discussed, stock picking is brutally hard, even for pros. But second, and more crucial, fees. Actively managed funds charge hefty fees for research, fancy offices, and big salaries. Index funds are run by computers and have incredibly low fees. A 1% fee difference might sound tiny, but over a lifetime of investing, it can cost you hundreds of thousands in lost growth. It's the single biggest factor in long-term success. Even Warren Buffett, the greatest stock picker ever, instructed his estate trustees to put his wife's inheritance in a dirt-cheap S&P 500 index fund. If it's good enough for Warren Buffett's family, it's good enough for us. Your portfolio should be simple. The authors suggest 3 basic index fund types: U.S. total stock market, international stock market, and bonds. Stocks provide long-term growth potential. Bonds provide stability. A simple rule: your age should roughly match your bond percentage. 20 years old? Maybe 20% bonds, 80% stocks. 60? Flip to 60% bonds, 40% stocks. Take more risk when you're young, with time to recover from crashes, and get conservative as retirement approaches. With these first 5 rules, you've built a powerful money management system. You're saving consistently, debt-free, and your money's growing quietly in the background. Now let's talk about protecting it. Rule 6. Make your financial advisor commit to the fiduciary standard. This might be the most important rule you've never heard of. A fiduciary is legally and ethically bound to act in your best interest. Seems obvious, right? Anyone calling themselves a financial advisor has to do that, right? Wrong. Most people giving financial advice aren't fiduciaries. They're brokers working under a much weaker suitability standard. The investment they recommend only has to be suitable for you, not the best option. If two identical funds exist but one pays the broker a higher commission, they can legally sell you the expensive one without disclosure. Their primary duty is to their company, not you. This massive conflict of interest costs American families billions yearly in hidden fees and lousy advice. Protect yourself by asking one direct question to any advisor. Do you operate as a fiduciary at all times? If they hesitate, give complicated answers, or say they're fee-based, often meaning fees plus commissions, walk away. A true fiduciary will proudly say yes. Next up, the biggest purchase most people make. Rule 7. Buy a home when you're financially ready. Our culture sells homeownership as the ultimate dream, but buying before you're ready can turn into a financial nightmare. A home isn't just shelter. It's a massively leveraged, expensive investment. When are you ready? The authors give a clear checklist. First, debt under control and a fully funded emergency fund. Remember, when you own, you're the landlord. Leaky roof? Broken furnace? You're on the hook. Second, aim for a 20% down payment. Put down less, and you'll pay private mortgage insurance PMI, an extra monthly fee protecting the lender, not you. 20% down also gives you a buffer if home prices drop. Finally, stick to a plain vanilla 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. Avoid complicated adjustable-rate mortgages, where payments can unexpectedly skyrocket. You want predictability and stability. Don't buy more house than you can comfortably afford. Experts say total housing costs shouldn't exceed about a third of take-home pay. Rule 8 is about protecting against the biggest financial risks. Insurance. Make sure you're protected. Nobody wants to think about insurance, but going without can destroy a lifetime of work instantly. You need 4 main types. First, health insurance. In a country with sky-high medical costs, one unexpected illness can mean bankruptcy. Non-negotiable. Second, term life insurance, but only if people depend on your income, spouse, kids. Term insurance is simple and cheap. It covers you for a specific period, say 30 years. If you die during that time, your family gets a payout. Avoid complicated whole life or universal life policies, bundling insurance with high-fee investments. They're almost always terrible deals. Third, disability insurance. You're way more likely to become disabled during working years than to die. Disability insurance replaces some income if you can't work due to illness or injury. It can be the only thing keeping your family afloat during crisis. Finally, auto and property insurance, homeowners or renters. Key here, get high liability coverage. This protects your assets if you're sued, and a high deductible. High deductible means you'll pay for small stuff like broken windows out of your emergency fund, but it dramatically lowers monthly premiums. Insurance is for catastrophes, not minor annoyances. The final 2 rules zoom out from personal finances to our shared world. Rule 9 is unexpected but powerful. Do what you can to support the social safety net. Truth is, no matter how well we plan, we can't protect ourselves from everything. Major recession, debilitating illness, global pandemic. These risks are too big for any individual. That's where programs like Social Security, Medicare, and unemployment insurance come in. These programs are essentially our country's insurance policy. They're the backstop protecting all of us when things go sideways. Without Social Security, nearly half of elderly Americans would live in poverty. The authors argue a strong safety net doesn't just help those in need. It makes stable, secure financial lives possible for everyone. It's the foundation our individual efforts are built on. And finally, Rule 10, tying it all together, remember the index card. In a world constantly trying to convince you finance is too complicated to understand, this simple card is your shield. It reminds you that core personal finance principles are simple, timeless, and within your grasp. You don't need to be a Wall Street genius. You don't need to watch the market daily. You just need to follow a few common sense rules, consistently, over time. That's it, the entire plan. Save 10 to 20%. Pay credit cards in full. Max out tax-advantaged accounts. Never buy individual stocks. Use low-cost index funds. Only work with fiduciaries. Buy a home when ready. Get the right insurance. Support systems protecting us all. And never forget that simplicity is your greatest strength. What I find so beautiful about the index card is its defiant simplicity. We live in an age of information overload where complexity masquerades as sophistication. The financial services industry thrives on this confusion. It's built a multi-trillion-dollar empire on the premise that money is mysterious language only highly paid priests can interpret. They sell complicated products with hidden fees, encourage stock trading based on fleeting emotions, and create anxiety, making us feel dependent on their expert guidance. This book is a quiet revolution against all that. It's a declaration of independence. Helaine Olen and Harold Pollack stripped away the noise, jargon, and self-serving advice to reveal elegant, unshakable truths at the core of personal finance. Their message is both liberating and empowering. You don't need them. You don't need shouting TV heads, slick brokers, or to spend your life worrying about money. You already have everything you need to succeed. The most powerful lesson isn't about Roth IRAs or asset allocation. It's about mindset. It's recognizing that a financial plan's goal isn't getting rich quick. It's building a system letting you live with peace of mind. A good financial plan should be boring. It should run quietly in the background, automated and effortless, freeing up time and mental energy for things that truly matter: family, work, health, passions. So if you take one thing from our time together, let it be this: you can start right now. You don't need lots of money or expertise. Here are simple actions you can take today. First, automate one thing. Go to your bank's website and set up automatic transfer of just $20, or even $5, from checking to savings each week. The amount doesn't matter. The habit does. Second, find your highest interest debt. Look at credit card statements, identify the highest APR, and plan to put an extra $50 toward it this month. That one small action is a powerful step toward financial freedom. Third, take out an actual index card and write down these rules. Don't just think about it. Do it. Stick it on your fridge, or tape it to your monitor. Let it physically remind you that you're in control, you have a plan, and the path to financial security doesn't have to be complicated. That was a summary of The Index Card by Helaine Olen and Harold Pollack. We've touched on the core ideas today, but a summary is like looking at a photo of a great meal. You can see what's in it, but you can't taste it. The real value of this book is in the stories, clarity of explanations, and confidence it gives you. This summary is your map, but the book is the journey. If any ideas sparked something in you, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning financial rules. It's about fundamentally changing your relationship with money, trading anxiety for peace, and complexity for a simple, powerful plan. Links in the description. Also, if you found this summary helpful, I'd be grateful if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. We explore a life-changing book from the Billionaire's Bookshelf every week, and I'd love you to join our community. Let's keep learning and growing together.